All right, hey now, and welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Dustin DeHart with Keller Mortgage, and
Nick Lehman with the Lehman Group at KW.
good to see you, Nick.
Good to see you.
First show is in the books, and I'll tell you, I think it was a solid C plus B minus. We had some hits and misses. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say there was more hits than misses, but we can only go up from here, and I'm excited to episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2, and we've got a lot to talk about. Look, normally we're not going to have such big news in the real estate market and mortgage industry, but we do this week. So it's going to be fun to talk about what happened with the CPI report. I know that sounds not fun, but it was a big anticipation for this coming out because it's going to see what drives interest rates for the future. The Fed actually just spoke today, and they met. And our housing numbers came out as well, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the housing market.
Yeah, the November numbers came out, which will give us an insight on what happened the last 30 days, and then we'll take a overview of year to date. So excited to discuss that.
Yeah, and then we got the rundown as well. A bunch of great topics, right? We'll hit at the last 15 minutes of the show. Before we get into it, I noticed that both of us went out of town last weekend.
We did.
Which normally isn't that earth-shattering, but I never go out of town. And so this may never happen again in like 4 years. I'm very routine. I don't know why I'm the only guy on the planet that doesn't like going on vacations or out of town.
Okay.
But I saw that you went to Napa, which
did.
is an amazing place. What happened there?
So honestly, this was a pre-pandemic planned trip. We had booked the Napa wine train pre-COVID, and they just kept canceling. So finally, we were able to go. Absolutely amazing. Flew out JSX. I don't know if you've had the pleasure.
I have, yes.
But I mean, what an experience for
the only
those
thing that sucks about JSX is they only go to a few places.
Yeah, I think as they build a base, they can expand a little bit more. But awesome way to fly. If you haven't had the experience, try. And then the wine train was absolutely just insane. Three-course meal, two wineries we stopped at, 3 tastings. It was fun. I even brought some photos for you to share.
Oh, you did?
I did, yeah. Let's see. Look at
your
that.
better half.
There she is. Yeah, that's us at Charles Krug. And the Culinary Institute is right behind. That was amazing. And then, I got another one. This is how the day started.
Right.
Oh, and that's what 3 wineries looks like. That is me taking a selfie and someone taking a photo of me taking a selfie. So I'm red, jolly, and happy right there. And, it was a great time. So.
Yeah, look, there's not much else to do in Napa besides relax and drink wine and eat good food, right?
Those are the things that make me happy.
And I went out of town, pretty much the polar opposite of Napa. I went to Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh.
It was a business trip, by the way. We actually got to see the SEC championship game, which was great.
Okay.
And we were invited into a luxury box.
Okay.
By the way, like JSX, that's the way to fly. That's the way to see a game, right?
Okay.
And I'll tell you, boy, them down south, that football's on a different level, right? Like you go to a UNLV game compared to the Georgia game, like it's quite a different experience, right? So, yeah, we had a great time. I actually have a picture as well because it was business.
Please do share.
That was one of our business meetings right there. You can see that we discussed a lot of great business topics. Actually, so that was the night before the game, and that was at a steakhouse. And I'm a steakhouse guy. I've been to most steakhouses in Vegas. And this one in Atlanta, it would match up to any steakhouse that we have in Vegas. And, they even had a piano guy right there.
Yeah.
There may have been some, adult beverages being had at that
one or
meeting.
2. I mean, I love that you opened your eyes for the photo. I mean, way to see it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I had the piano guy play the Ramones. Like, everybody else is saying American Pie and Piano Man. And, that went over well with me and him. He was, like, really happy that somebody was bringing up a cool song like that. But, I was the only guy that actually enjoyed that because it got really quiet in there. And you couldn't even walk in that place. But had a great time. And, man, it's great to be here on our second show.
Yes.
And, man, we've got a lot to discuss, so I think we should just get right into the November housing numbers. Not a big surprise, but, maybe some surprises, and curious to see what you have to say.
There's some takeaways. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the November numbers.
I think we might have a graph or something from Rick, if we can pop it up. Hold on, let's see here.
We do. So The November was pretty much more of the same. So things that stand out to me. So we'll quickly, 1,521 units sold, just over 2,000 listings taken, units available. What you're getting from this is pretty much supply and demand. What people love to talk about, especially in the news, is that median sale price.
Right.
And that median sale price is at $439.90. That was pretty flat from just month over. But what's interesting is looking over the year over, it is still up 2.6% from last year. So what's interesting is in a year's time, you had 15 to 20% appreciation, drop all the way back down to nearly zero.
Right.
And all in the same year, which is not normal.
Right.
Pretty crazy to fathom. Something else to point out is that 4.8 months of effective availability on the market. That is obviously a huge increase. We came from pretty much nothing on the market to now 4.8 months available. So there are homes for people to buy. However, we are still up, and it tastes a little bit different, I think, for people to process, hey, the market's down, the market's down, the market's down. It is down from 6 months ago, yet if you process year over, we're still up. And for some reason, that's not landing with the consumer today.
Because people still have May in their heads, right? When we were at 482. Now we've certainly dropped. Now, when you have an egregious rate increase from 2.5 to 7.5, how quickly that has been, that's certainly going to affect demand, right? And then, we saw supply, what was it, like 160% more than this time last year? But my question to you is, I've heard supply maybe is coming down a little bit or leveling out right now, or are we still going up?
No, we pre-pandemic, we had real estate seasons, and that's what people, they can't, anything pre-COVID didn't exist, right? They can't remember what happened pre-COVID. So we had real estate seasons, just like fall, winter, spring, summer. And this particular real estate season that is happening, you would see less people list their homes on the market. They don't want to move for the holidays. Therefore, the inventory dips.
Like every year we've had,
like every single year we had pre-pandemic. So, we're just in a real estate season. The inventory to me has stabilized. Everyone will jump on the bandwagon come mid-January, February. You'll start to see more homes hit the market, and then more buyers will be available as well.
Yeah, because obviously 1,521 sales, that's down a lot.
It is.
That's not normal, right? We usually have a lot more than that. I mean, that's down like 53% from this time last year. Now, look, we need rates to come down to see that go up, right? So we'll see what happens. But, look, the supply has, there are a lot of sellers now taking their house off the market that maybe were not realistic, and maybe that's helping as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have people that are like, hey, if I could get X, then I'm willing to sell.
Right.
If I can't get X, then I'm just going to pull it off the market. So I tried to get my, April, May number. It didn't work. Now, you know what? I'm just going to stay, or my circumstances are changed. I only was going to sell if I could get this, hyperinflated number per se.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens next month and where we end up landing with the median resale price, right? But we're up a little bit year over year, but we had certainly a damn good year last year, so we're still, if you take a 2 or 3 year snapshot.
That's exactly right. I mean, if I said, Dustin, hey, in 24 months, if I can get you a 23% return on an investment, are you in?
All day long.
You'll take it all day long.
So the $1 million question is, when are rates going to come down? And that will certainly help stabilize the market even more and get more buyers into our market. So 30 days ago, we had this CPI report come out, which is the Consumer Price Index. It measures inflation. And I like inflation reports as best as any of them, but all of a sudden I can't wait for these inflation reports to come out, because 30 days ago it came out and it was much better than expected. Okay, so here's the deal. Interest rates are the arch enemy inflation's the arch enemy of interest rates, right? So that, along with the Fed stopping quantitative easing, they're not spending billions of dollars a month to keep rates artificially low. And that's why rates went up, right? So we needed inflation to start coming down to see rates come down. Okay.
Sure.
And that's happening. Now, yesterday we had another report, and it came in better than expected
Yes.
again, right? So
More good news.
We used the core report, which strips out energy and housing, or excuse me, energy and food, because the Fed can't control that.
Okay.
And if last 30 days, or the last report that came out, it had the shelter part of it had this weird lodging out of homes number that always goes like this, and that came crashing back down. So it was even better than expected. So the markets are reacting to this. The last time we saw this, we literally had one of the best days for mortgage rates ever, right?
That's awesome.
Barring a housing collapse or COVID or something like that, right?
Right.
And look, we had a great day yesterday. The Fed spoke today again. Thankfully, they didn't go off the rails and say something crazy. They increased their Fed funds rates by 50 basis points, not 75. So that is good.
Yeah, it's
right?
less.
Yeah, so they're somewhat admitting now that these rate hikes that they're doing are starting to work. And believe it or not, I think we're going to, get out of this better than expected, because on top of all these rate hikes, we're still doing pretty well in the job market, right? Like
For sure.
3.7% unemployment. I think we added 283,000 jobs last month. So things seem to be getting a lot better. I mean, rates dropped a point. We need them to drop more, right? And now, look, no one knows besides rates will either go up, down, or stay the same, what they're going to do in the future.
Sure.
But, people that do this for a living, and including the National Association of Realtors and the Mortgage Bankers Association, they're all bullish on rates really coming down next year. Now, some are more bullish than others, but the guy that I trust the best, he's really thinking that early next year we'll be in that 5% range. And it's hard not to agree with it, because if inflation keeps coming down, right? And, who knows, maybe by end of next year, we're starting to hit that 4% range.
Oof, man.
Nick, tell me what that would do to the market.
That it would bring back, I think, a little bit more, definitely velocity, a little bit more speed, pulling the people that are on the fence, bringing them back in the game. But we still have a housing shortage problem. So it could get back to, I don't want to say what it was, but I could guarantee price appreciation if that were to happen. If you had rates drop to the 4s, we would see property values go up. It would just be, again, simple supply and demand. There is still a supply problem. And so you dropping rates would increase the supply. Absolutely. Therefore, prices would go up.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, we're going to monitor this and bring the information that we see on future shows, but I feel good about next year. It was a tough year this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Last 6 months has been
it has been a roller coaster. Right?
A lot of up and down, a lot of managing people's emotions in conversations, a lot of education. I would probably say educating people is the key right now. And as consistency stabilize, as the market stays consistent or stabilizes, then that will give people the certainty to have the confidence to proceed forward.
Now, I'm glad you said education, because people, they hearing things from all over the place, right? Social media influencers like Grant Cardone and telling you never to buy a house, right? In the media, like, oh my God.
Or pay cash only. Like,
but when you really give them the correct information, it's not our job to sell anybody on doing something. It's to provide the valuable information and let them make the right decision, so that they know that they are, right? Because a lot of people have missed out on opportunities prior to this, right?
Absolutely.
They kept thinking the market was going to come down and shot up and then it just kept going for 2 more years. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, you can't participate in the hand if you don't have chips at the table. So if you're not participating in the real estate game, there's absolutely 0% chance for you to gain appreciation, or probably the single-handedly best way to create wealth is through home ownership.
Because at the end of the day, the best time to buy real estate was always 5 years ago, right?
Always.
Might as well jump in now. So
absolutely.
So excited to see what rates do. Man, we are looking good right now. We've dropped more this, 1% in a matter of 30 days, which is a huge relief, right? So all the naysayers saying we're going to get to 8, 9, 10% rates. Well, it doesn't look like that's true, thank God. So we will see. All right, that was some great information. And now I think we're going to get to the main part of the show here, the rundown, my friend.
The rundown, yes. The rundown is a series of questions. Dustin goes, I go, and we will answer, we will talk about topics that are relevant today in both real estate and the local Las Vegas area. So,
and we'll try to stay on time because it's only 2 minutes. And after last show, I realized I was going well over 2 minutes.
That's okay.
And you were supposed to go like that or something dude, you're at 3.5 minutes here.
I'll rub your leg under
there was
here.
an inadvertent boob flex there. Sorry, Nick. All right, let's get to it. What's our first topic here?
We got the Mount Charleston Lodge. Dustin, talk to me about that.
All right, so the Mount Charleston Lodge, an iconic place in Vegas, right?
It is.
It's been around since the 60s. If you've lived in town for any amount of time, right, you've probably frequented that place.
For sure.
And it was really sad to see it burn down last year, right? And the problem is there's only 2 places up there, right, to eat, right? Now there's one, which was a big bummer. And they did do some temporary things this year with Pine Dining, and it had some local chefs, and it was great. So we were all, people are anticipating what is it going to look like, and what are they going to do. So we do have some pictures from the future of what it may look like, right? Yeah, look, that looks pretty cool. So, right now that there is no hotel there. There's some like cabins, right? So they're proposing that's the huge lodge there with a 30 to 35 room hotel attached to it, right? I think there might be one more picture of what the inside. Oh, look at that! Like,
wow,
the lodge was cool, but it really needed some updating, and that's sometimes what fires do for you. That's for another show.
Yeah, they cleanse the earth. They bring
right. Now, some of the locals aren't really excited about this, right? Like HOAs, right?
Of course.
Yeah, please everybody. So they're worried about traffic.
People.
I get it, but pollution and foot traffic. But again, there's only 2 places, right? So, and I don't think adding 30 more rooms is going to really bring that much more traffic. There are water issues too as well, but the company that owns it, which is Ellis Island, I think they have that worked out with their own well. So can't wait for that to open. I actually go up to Mount Charleston a lot, so I'm excited to have some breakfast and maybe some Bloody Marys there. But it'll probably take about 3 or 4 years for that to get built. So
maybe
we'll hopefully have this show going, and we'll announce when it does get open. So all right, home sweet home, you're up.
Home sweet home. So often we always talk about the financial gains of owning a home, or, the math, does it make sense, and how much are you going to pay? What's your rate going to be? How much down? There are non-financial benefits to owning a home. And I think it's important to bring that up to buyers. If we could take a look at the slide, there are so many benefits to home ownership that exceed dollars and cents. Personal expression, making a home your own. You can't go in there and paint and decorate a rental, change things up the way you want. Privacy, it is your home, right? Comfort, having that security, that sense of community that this is yours. That people can't just change the rent on you. Sure. They can't just drop off, hey, we're not going to renew the lease for you. Right. Accomplishment, that great feeling.
That's the best. Right.
I mean, it really is.
Buying your first home.
Yeah, I remember, and it was just this like sense of, hey, I did this.
Right.
The American dream. I own a home. It's absolutely, what, again, the American dream really is. And then taking care of your loved ones, the ability to be able to pass it down, or that wealth. Real estate is the way people build wealth.
Yeah.
The best
most
way to
people,
do it.
Right.
Most people, for sure.
That's the biggest part of their wealth.
And to be able to pass that on, where you can't pass on a lease.
Sure.
You can't pass on, hey, I have 6 more months in this location. So I think it's important to highlight, especially right now when so many people have this uncertainty, or like, should I not, that there are more benefits to owning a home than just dollars and cents.
That you can't quantify, right?
It's a feeling, right. It's an emotion. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember buying my first house with bad timing, but I didn't care. I was buying a house, no matter what.
But it's not bad timing until you sell, right? I mean, had you cut?
It was bad timing.
Okay. All right, buy downs. Dustin, your favorite word?
Oh boy. All right. So buy downs. So look, we know when you quote an interest rate, right? There's always the opportunity to get a lower interest rate, right? And you have to pay for that. So, we got to determine if the amount you're spending versus the lower payment, how long that's going to take to see if it's really a sound investment for you, right? Sure. Now, with all the seller concessions that are being given out right now by sellers, buyers are now electing to use those, some of them, most of them actually, for buying down their interest rates in a higher rate environment, right?
Okay.
So, you can, like, let's say your rate's 6.5% today, right?
Right.
You got enough money from the seller, you can go to 6%, right? But if we can get the slide up really quick. This is called the temporary 2-1 buy down. So these temporary buy downs have become very popular because they're going to give you a lot more bang for your buck, right? So I don't know who put this flyer together, but they use 6.08%, which I don't know if any mortgage company can actually offer. So let's just go with it. But as you can see, instead of getting that rate, year one, you'll go to 4, right? And I think it's about $500 in savings. I can't see that. Year two, you'll go to 5, which is a good amount of savings there as well. And in year 3, it'll go to the 6% rate. Right now, it's about $9,000 it takes to set up that, and it has to come from the seller or a builder if it's a new build.
Okay.
And here's the good part: if you refinance, that's going to be the goal, right?
Sure.
Before it hits to that 6, that money just doesn't evaporate. It's given back by the servicer that you can use for closing costs or maybe actually reducing your principal. So it's a great strategy people are using right now, and it's really helping people get over the fence with these higher rates. All right, I went over a little bit. The big race.
The big race.
Actually, this is cool. I'm glad we're talking about this. Buy downs.
Let's shift gears to talking about like that. Shift gears.
Yeah, it was very good.
Okay, to the big race. So earlier this year, F1 announced that we're getting a race. It's incredible. It's been, gosh, it was like Caesar's Palace in the late 70s or early 80s was the last time. So F1's a big deal. The Netflix show has just made F1 take off. I mean, it already was big, I think, in most of the other parts of the world.
I didn't realize how big it was until
we
started to get
It's a big deal.
No,
it's super big deal. And what's so cool is I've seen articles that the revenue, the RevPAR, the revenue per available room, single highest ever in Las Vegas, the rates that they're getting. Sure. The GA tickets, highest F1 has ever sold out already. So really kind of just solidifying what we talked a little bit about last week, that Vegas is a real city. We have I got a video to show you this track. It's unreal. So they're actually, the track's going to be on the Strip. This is a demo, essentially, like grandstands right in front of the Bellagio water fountains. Right. Wow. Driving by MSG Sphere all the way down.
And that's about how quick they are. Right?
Literally, yeah. I read that the speed was going to be, top speed was like 217 at the backstretch there. There's a yacht. I'm not sure what that, but 217, I mean, that's just absolutely awesome for the city. And really excited. We got to figure out how we can get tickets to this thing.
We do. I know.
It's definitely going to be
it doesn't surprise me. Like the Raiders tickets are still the most expensive tickets there are.
Golden
even though
Knights.
We suck. Right? The Golden Knights,
the hockey tickets are still.
Yeah, I know we pissed off Europe probably getting this, but they're all going to come to Vegas and get drunk and have fun. So
spend some more money, help with our economy. Yeah. Lock and shop, Dustin.
Yeah. All right. Lock and shop. Since we're on the rate topics here, I figured I'd end with what's called the lock and shop program. All right. So typically when you lock an interest rate in, Nick, it's when I receive a purchase contract, right? So we know the sales price, the address, price you out. You can lock that day or float, whatever, So now with the higher rate environment, we produced a program where I can now lock your rate in at pre-approval stage, right? And then a buyer now has 4 months, which is a long time, to now go find a house. And then once they didn't have 60 days to close. So plenty of time, right? Okay. Now, what if rates come down? That's the $1 million question, right? Well, the good news is we have the ability to float down one time, right? Okay. So we're going to... Obviously, if we have a huge move in the market that day, we're going to float down and let's go for it. But, if we get the contract in and rates are lower, we'll float down to that lower rate, right? So you really can't lose, right? So if they go up, you're locked.
Got
We're
it.
protected, right?
Got it.
If they come down, we're going to float down to that lower interest rate, right? So, and there's no upfront fee like a lot of mortgage companies charge. So, it's just one other program out there right now to help, buyers get over the fence. Because I get it. Look, I know I've said rates are trending down, but they don't go up and down in a straight line, right? There's going to be some peaks and valleys.
For sure.
And we'd certainly like to, lock into that valley, not the peak.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So it's a great strategy for buyers out there right now. If you're worried that whatever I'm saying about interest rates is not true and they're going to go back up to 9%, like some experts have thought, then we can protect you and get out there and go buy a house with Nick and let's get this done.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, last one here, wills and trusts. That sounds interesting.
Wills and trusts. This has been near and dear to my heart. Just closed on a probate sale literally just a few days ago. And the difference between will and trust and what people think that they are. So wills do not avoid probate. They are essentially a ticket to probate, where trusts are what avoid probate. And so I'll share a quick story. We had an individual sell his home or list his home for sale back in May. We got offers right away. By the time the court confirmation happened in June, the buyer backed out and the market changed right then.
Right.
He ended up, the delta between purchase price, or buyer one and buyer two, was about 80 grand. And really sad to my heart, this was a man in his 70s. Had the home been placed in a trust, or there was a trust created where the home was put in, he could have sold right away, not had to wait for court confirmation, and essentially would have had $70,000 more. The benefits, I have a slide. There are quick benefits. Wills, what people think, it's less time and cost now. That's what attracts them to it so much, because it doesn't cost as much. It's more time and cost later. It does require probate. That is the biggest takeaway that I want you to process in this. There's no incapacity provisions. There's no or limited protection for you and your heirs. The benefits to the trust: it costs a little bit more now, a little bit more time. However, you're going to avoid all the costs later. It avoids probate, which is, again, the takeaway that I want you to have. Can include incapacity provisions, and can include protection for you and your family. So again, if you own a home and you don't have a trust, please consider it. Talk to someone, reach out to us. We can refer you to
Even
attorneys
if you don't
that
have
set
kids,
up.
right?
It has nothing to do with the kids. I mean, you can pass it. It can be siblings. It can be other family members. But please consider it, because the costs of probate after you're gone are just they're a lot.
I mean,
it's
just
something to pay attention
Tony
to.
Tsai, is that his name? Is it the millionaire who died?
Shay.
Sorry,
Tsai.
that's a silent S. Is that what it is? Shay, right?
Tony
Yeah.
Shay.
Look, he it's all going crazy because there's no will, no trust, no anything, and that's millions of dollars. So, look, we're not him, but again, you want to make this easy for everybody. If you do pass on, and it's not that hard to set up, right? Then I've been saying that, and I'm supposed to get a trust for the last 5 years. So now you've made me realize I need to get my act together.
We're gonna check on you in about 30 days and make sure that's set up. Okay.
Yeah. All right, man. That was quick. Boy, oh boy, that was 30 minutes. Goes by quick, doesn't it?
Time flies when you're having fun.
So,
any final thoughts or standouts for you?
Well, yeah. Look, again, the housing median sales price went down. Not a big shock, right?
Yeah.
But rates are also coming down. So I think going into next year, we have a better outlook on what's going to happen, right? So I think it will really start to stabilize the market and bring in those buyers right now. And, really to help people understand that, it's not going to be as bad as maybe a lot of us thought or projected. You know what I mean?
For sure.
What about you?
For me, it's the consistency in the market is starting to happen now. And so that stabilization will create confidence that both buyers and sellers need at this moment, because the yo-yo or the roller coaster creates uncertainty, which creates, scared, fear, all of those trigger words. So I'm excited to see the stabilization. I'm excited to see consistency, because consumer confidence, the numbers are there. We just need it to stay for a longer period of time, so people understand the sky's not falling.
And we just have to remember, forget about the last 2 years.
Yes.
That should have never happened. And now we're going back to a normal market again.
For sure.
I can't wait. All right. let's wrap it up, Nick. How do they get a hold of you, man?
Best way to get a hold of me, Nick Lehman, the Lehman Group at KW Las Vegas, Nick at theLehmanGroup.com, 702-289-5200. That's my direct cell. Call, text, email, anytime.
There you go.
Dustin, how about you?
Well, let me see here. There you go. Producing branch manager. I don't know why that title just throws me off.
The PBM.
There you go. Email, call, text, pigeon. I don't care. However you want to get a hold of us, do it. Great show. Can't wait for next week. I know we have some things in store for next week that'll be a little entertaining. And we can't wait to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining. See you next time.